Welcome back to the While We Wait podcast, the podcast about abstinence and celibacy. My name is Winter and I am your host. I have been abstaining from sex for 3 years and yes, I am waiting for marriage. Season 2 is now sponsored by, and yes, that's the entire season. Season 2 is now sponsored by Shiriko. Shiriko is a Black woman-owned soy wax-based candle and more company. They are based in the Bay Area, California. You can find out more about Shiriko by visiting www.shopsharico.com. That's www.shopsharico.com. I'm super excited for season 2. We're bringing you guests, we're bringing you games, we're bringing you fun, we're bringing you super exciting conversations, we're bringing you music, we're bringing you a lot more this season, and it's all thanks to our sponsor, Shiriko. Once again, this entire season of While We Wait, the podcast about abstinence and celibacy, is brought to you by Shiriko, a Black woman-owned soy wax-based candle company based out of the Bay Area, California. And not only do they make soy wax candles, they make reed diffusers, linen sprays, body products, shower products, and more. It's self-care in a luxe way. All right, so I'm going to get right into today's topic because I have a lot to say. I actually wrote out about, 10 pages worth of notes. So we're going to jump right into it. All right, so on YouTube, there's a niche genre that's becoming incredibly popular. And incredibly popular, gaining tens of thousands of views by the minute. I'm not exaggerating. And that would be the femininity journey / level up journey genre. Now within that, right, there's the black femininity journey. And, there's a lot going on here. So what they aim to do, I believe, right, is inspire. I believe they aim to inspire young women, specifically young Black women, on how to become, I would argue, hyper-focused on hypergamy, Eurocentric ideas of femininity, and using their sensuality and sexuality as a means of socioeconomic advancement. Tons of words. Femininity. What? Y'all, sometimes when I'm talking, I don't know what happens. Things just get said. So, femininity is, by definition, so this is the super bland definition, is a set of attributes, behaviors, and roles generally associated with women and girls. Although femininity is socially constructed, research indicates that some behaviors considered feminine are biologically influenced. To what extent femininity is biologically or socially influenced is subject to debate. So let's stop right here. So the whole concept of femininity, outside of it being an energy, is just a bunch of ideas that people have in their minds about what it means to be a woman and or female. You've got your arguments out there about the biological things, which I would say from my study and my understanding, yeah, there are definitely some biological things that we could probably argue make women think and believe and act certain ways, vice versa. But all in all, to be feminine and to be woman is just really about, I really feel like, how you feel. You know what I'm saying? How you feel. Although I'm a cisgendered, heterosexual Black woman, I'm a cis-hetero Black woman, I've never felt that my gender identity was something outside of myself, I've never felt like people placed it on me. Although, like, obviously, when I was born, I didn't get a say. I was born, they looked at me, they said, there's a vagina, this is a girl. And so for my life, I was raised as a girl. Now, I just so happen to have agreed with that. I was like, oh yeah, I'm a girl. That's cool. I like being a girl. I'll be a girl. But, who's to say if I had been brought up any other way, maybe I wouldn't have aligned with that. But that's not the here nor there, and that's not the conversation. But I just wanted us to just, have that in our mind as I work through my thoughts here. So anyway, tons of big smarty pants words being used. But basically, these videos are telling young girls that there's only one way to be feminine, and if you do it this way, you'll marry rich. That's how I'm receiving most of these videos. Now, are all of them only sharing this message? Absolutely not. No, I would not say that. I wouldn't say that. There are some really good videos, but there are those who are sharing a different kind of message, right? One that is uplifting young women and rejecting ideas that support a singular modality, a singular expression, so to speak, of femininity. That's what I mean when I say, there are some good videos out there, but I would say 90% of those videos in the Black femininity journey and level up journey genre are not doing that. They are not rejecting ideas that support a singular modality of femininity. They are not. They are very much pushing a very specific kind of femininity and womanhood, so to say. Now, the Black femininity journey videos seem to be hyper-focused on purity and purification, which we need to discuss. As a young Black woman who's abstaining from sex, waiting until marriage to have sex and engage in that lifestyle choice, I understand that a lot of people believe a choice such as mine comes from the place of wanting to be read as pure. You're absolutely wrong if that's what you're thinking. I couldn't care less about whether I am outwardly perceived as pure or not pure, because nobody is allowed to make that judgment of me other than me and the Creator. And being that I am the living embodiment of God and of the godly spirit, that means that I am literally the only person who can decide if I'm pure or not. And I decide that I am, because purity in the context of sex has nothing to do with your actions and everything to do with your intentions. Let me say it again. Purity in the context of sex has nothing to do with your actions and everything to do with your intentions. I firmly believe this and will stand on that. The focus of purity and purification is, in my belief, a way that Black women are trying to be, on the defense. It's a way that Black women are trying to push back and combat the Hottentot Venus stereotype, right, that was placed upon us. And if you're unfamiliar with what that means, a little bit of context for you is the Hottentot Venus was a moniker given to a series of women exhibited in a sexually suggestive ethnic curiosity show in England and France in the early 19th century. And the woman who was most linked with the icon is Saartjie Baartman, or Sarah Baartman. She was the first to be forced to take this role, and due to the European objectification of her buttocks, she was exhibited as a freak show attraction. So let's talk about this. So I was first introduced to the Hottentot Venus and what that means, and how that is a continued stereotype that is placed upon the Black woman and the Black female body. My first year at Spelman, and it was during my African Diaspora of the World's course, which is a required course for all students who attend Spelman. And it was the first time, unfortunately so, that I finally understood why everyone had been so obsessed with my butt in high school. I went to a predominantly white high school. I went to a boarding school. I attended Blair Academy in Blairstown, New Jersey. I went to a boarding school, co-ed. And being that I'm from New York, I've always had a very diverse, always had a very diverse educational experience. I've always been in environments where I'm not the only Black person in the room. I'm not the only Black child in the room. And when I do look around, I'm not just one of two, right? When I say I'm not the only Black child, it's not like, oh, because it's two more of y'all. No, like it's hefty. We ain't here. We deep. We got numbers. High school was the first time that I was ever the only person like myself in the room. And boarding school is college. It's college for 12 to 18-year-olds. And at least mine was. And that was a wild experience because I had never been objectified truly ever in my life when it came to my body. When I think back to elementary school and middle school, nobody was ever really making comments on my shape or my body. No. I wasn't really receiving any kind of comments like that. You know, high school was the first time that my Black body was a topic of discussion, and the fact that I was shaped so differently than 99.999% of the female student body. And when I learned about the Hottentot Venus, when I learned that Black women were paraded around in freak shows simply because they had big butts, and that the bustle, if you know anything about 19th century clothing, you know, those dresses they wore and the bustle, the back of the dress, that big old butt. So they were mocking African women. That was the whole point of those dresses. It was a joke and it was a mockery, but it was a fashion statement, wasn't it? Terrible. And so having that context, I understand why Black women want to be viewed as pure. We don't need to be in order to be pure, especially not by white people. Absolutely not. I could not care less if a white person thinks I'm pure or not. Because anyway, another discussion. I'm not even about to get into it. But, you know, I'm saying all that to say it makes sense why a lot of the Black femininity journey videos and the Black level up journey videos marketed towards women have this focus on being pure, being chaste, being abstinent, and taking a vow of celibacy. And as someone who is walking that path and has been walking that path of abstinence and waiting until marriage for 3 years, I got something to say because I don't want other young Black women believing that they need to make this choice to appease other people and to, you know, I don't know, like enter some type of martyrdom. I don't know, for like the collective Black womanhood, that you don't have to do that. You're abstinent because you want to be. You're celibate because you want to be. Not because you are trying to push back against, oh my God, hundreds of years of sexism and racism. Because trust me, whether you is slobbing on a knob or not, that's not about to really do nothing about these racist white folk. It's not. So like, if you want to slob on a knob, you do that. If you don't, you don't do it. But don't not do it because you think somehow it's going to make racists treat you better. They're racist. So, anyway, because I'm going to get into another conversation and I want to stay on this topic. But Black women are having to continually and constantly push against this narrative. of the Hottentot Venus. One that has never belonged to us truly, but was forcibly placed upon us. And so this is because the plight of womanhood isn't extended to the Black woman, even in 2021. The plight of womanhood is not extended to the Black woman. She is still having to prove that she is a woman, that she is feminine, and that she is soft. This is another focus of the Black community journey videos that you're not seeing in the general, right, femininity journey videos. The general ones are not talking or not trying to coach young girls on how to be soft. Why? This is because someone who is non-Black is already inherently going to be read as a soft woman, a fragile woman, a female, a dainty, whatever, synonym for woman and femininity. A Black woman does not get that. And so when we're not even socialized in being soft and viewing ourselves as soft, we don't believe that we can be, or we have to be, or that we even have the ability to be soft. And I'm gonna circle back to that. But from the Jezebel to the Jigaboo, right? The Black body is always objectified and consumed. And what's happening is that Black women are trying to protect themselves against further violence in this society. And in this society, money helps. So what I'm noticing in the more popular Black femininity journey videos is this focus on hypergamy. If you're unfamiliar with the term hypergamy, I will define it for you right now. Hypergamy is the action of marrying or forming a sexual relationship with a person of superior sociological or educational background. Please remember, these are the definitions. This is not my chosen language. These are the definitions. And I'm making this point because I don't like the language of superior. But for added context, hypergamy is a term used in a social science for the act of practice or of a person marrying a spouse of higher caste or social status than themselves. The antonym is hypogamy or hypogamy, which refers to the inverse, marrying a person of lower social class or status. Again, this is just the language that's used to define these words. It's not my language of choice. So I asked myself, why are Black women seemingly so focused on marrying up? The answer is protection. Historically in America, the Black woman has not been protected. And because of this, she is constantly seeking protection best she knows how. Maybe easiest she knows how. I don't know. I'm not very sure about the language here, but work with me. I'm just speaking on my thoughts and opinions in this space I've cultivated to be as safe as possible, which is the podcast. So I know that everyone will not agree with what I have to say in today's episode, but always remember that these thoughts are mine, and I'm allowed to change my mind at any time because that's what people are allowed to do. That includes you. All right, so the oldest profession in the world is prostitution, right? So goes the saying. And so women are taught as little girls that our bodies can be commodified, marketed, sold, and then disposed of. So what is a Black woman to do in a world such as this? She is to ally herself with men who will and can protect her. Work with me here. America is a capitalist society, and with money being the lowest form of energy, you could hope that it wouldn't be the center of romantic and sexual relationships. Yet, here we are. We have YouTube channels dedicated to coaching young Black women on how to attract and marry a rich man out of protection. And we're just talking about money here. Okay? A rich man in money. Not rich in spirit, not wealthy in character, just money. Status. Right? Something that really means nothing because it isn't real, right? Money is just a means of buying and trading goods in this current system until it no longer works and a new system is developed. Because there was a time where beans, like the literal beans you eat, were considered money. It's all a game. It's all a game. And so when you understand that, when you know that Black women have not been protected historically, marrying up seems like the greatest, thing a Black woman could do for herself in terms of protecting herself in America, which is why if you wanted to take it pop culture, girl, if you want to take a pop culture route, right, let's think of all the IG girlies or the Twitter girlies who stay with men who quite obviously don't care for them, who don't really love them, who don't like them. Men who are not even their friends. So these men don't like them, but they stay with these men because the money and the social status, right? And that proximity to some form of power that they believe they have by being in this arrangement, protects them. It protects them. It insulates them. It gives them a feeling of security, even if it's just for the moment. Because what the Black woman has experienced is so heinous. We'll take the bare dirt minimum just to have a feeling of security for the moment. Right? And that's deep. That's very deep. So let's take a break right here. Okay. Get up. Stretch, grab some water or some more wine, whatever it is you're sipping on, and let's hear from our sponsors. Hey listeners, today's video is brought to you by Sharico. That's right, we have a sponsor. Sharico is a soy wax-based candle and more company based out of the Bay Area, California. Founded by Danita Cherie, Sharico brings you the best of luxury soy wax candles and more. She makes reed diffusers, linen sprays, body oils, bath products, and honestly, you are going to want everything she makes in your home. I met the founder and CEO on Twitter in the end, I want to say, towards like the end of 2019, start of 2020. Interviewed her for a podcast, and here we are today. Danita is an amazing, amazing young woman who is building this company right out of her home. Please make sure that you tap in and shop with Sharico. You can purchase everything that I've mentioned here, from candles to body oil to linen sprays to reed diffusers to bath goods at shopsharico.com. That's www.shopsharico.com. Shopsharico.com. Okay, it's just self-care in a luxe way. That's our sponsor, and I'm so excited. Can y'all tell? I am geeked to have a sponsor. Shop Sharico. You won't regret it. Self-care in a luxe way. Oh my God, how do I stop it? Okay, so how does the Black woman, right, navigate through this space? She has to focus on cultivating her energy outside of the phallus, because the penis is not yours. Now, please be aware that I'm speaking from the perspective of a cis hetero woman, because I am a cisgendered heterosexual Black woman. And so much of what I say after right now is to help drive my point home. And it will be quite heteronormative because I am speaking from my point of view and lived experiences. So I'm moving on. The Black woman, right, every woman, honestly, needs to focus on cultivating her energy outside of the phallus. The penis is not yours. It does not belong to you. So stop putting so much attention on it. Stop making men the center of your growth. You are not and should not be working to become a better woman for the sake of attracting a man. You also shouldn't believe that allying yourself with a man of a higher socioeconomic standing than yourself is going to protect you. It is not. It's going to give you a false sense of protection, but the only thing that can protect you is your mindset and yourself. Money is not real. It does not fucking exist. It is a system. And it will only be the system until it doesn't work anymore. Okay? If you want to get into it, we can get into it. I can even make an episode about it. And yes, I absolutely will be able to bring it back to abstinence and celibacy, because guess what? Your virginity, your piety, your chastity used to be sold. That was money. How many virgins a person was in possession of, and I'm using the language at the time, was like money. You had 7 virgins, you could buy certain things with those bodies. So I can really get into it if you want me to. But we need to stop making men the center, right? But I also want us to start redefining what femininity is. I'm a Black woman with shaved hair. I seldom wear makeup, and I dress in a way that many associate with a masculine presenting person. Most of my life, people have assumed my sexual preferences because of how I dress. And I know appearance is what we all go off of when meeting people and trying to get to know them. But I just never appreciated people assuming anything like that about me because I like to wear sweatpants and tracksuits and sneakers. I personally like to be comfortable. I also have, I guess, kind of a short torso. And so I just find that like activewear and loungewear or nice, very nicely tailored, loose-fitting clothing like does wonders for my curves. The bodycons and the skinny jeans and the things like that. Because my torso, I don't like how it made me look. So I go a different route. But I just like to be comfortable. That's all it is. But, you know, that's where we are as a society. That is where we are as a society. A woman routinely wears certain clothing and shaves her hair. She must be X, Y, and Z. That's where we are. And you know what? That's where we are. And I have to operate within this, right? I need to figure out how I maneuver. And so although I'm waiting for marriage, I am not centering men in this journey. Men are just the people that I'm romantically and sexually attracted to and desire a romantic partnership with. They are not the center of my journey, though. You know, there's this meme going around about how like millennials and Gen Z are so selfish. And something about us being the most selfish generation ever. I truly reject that. What I believe is happening is that those before us is seeing us refuse to accept less than what we truly deserve in all aspects of our lives, and so we do not compromise. Our generation has been given the luxury to have the time to talk about therapy. Our generation has also been given the luxury to go to therapy. Therapy is but therapy is much more accessible than it was 30 years ago, 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, heck, 7 years ago, 5 years ago. But the thing is, we have this extreme luxury of being able to take time to process our emotions and to process also what is happening to us, especially those of us who are Black. Our grandparents, our parents, our great-grandparents did not have the luxury to take the time to really discuss what was happening to them. When they were discussing what was happening to them, they had to immediately find solution, create resolve, or be on the defensive. And although not much has changed, things are just far more covert now, and they were just more overt back then. What has changed is that we have that time. We have that luxury to sit down and begin to process what's happening to us before we feel that we have to react to what's happening to us. That is a luxury. That's a luxury. So, I'm selfish. And I know I am. And you are too. Because we're all selfish. And yeah, like maybe we're picky, this generation, millennials and Gen Zers. But I believe that's what helps us walk in our divine purpose more. I truly do. I think our ability to embrace our selfishness is what is saving us and is ultimately going to make this entire planet a much better place to be on. And maybe, maybe the Black woman aligning herself with hypergamy is extremely selfish, but good. If this is how a Black woman believes she must and can save herself, I'm not going to disagree with her. And I know earlier I did say that, you shouldn't believe that aligning yourself with a man of just higher socioeconomic standing is going to save you, because it's not going to save you. It is not going to save you, but I'm not going to argue you down and disagree and say that it can't help you get a little protection for a moment. So that's what I meant by, if a Black woman believes she must and can save herself by agreeing to hypergamy, I'm not going to disagree with her. I'm not, because I understand why, right? I want us to stop shaming Black women and wanting more and going for it in, yes, I guess the most obvious of ways. But it's almost like, can you blame Black women? Can you blame women, period? Gender violence and sexism and all that. But I'm a Black woman, so I'm talking about being a Black woman right now. Can you really blame the Black woman for wanting to align herself in that way? Can you? When historically all she has experienced is being taken advantage of? And I don't know when they doled out these reparations. So get it how you live. Get in where you fit in. Okay? Shoot. Because we need to remember that masculinity and femininity are just energies. And that's all. As a woman, you have a masculine and a female energy within you. As a man, you have feminine and masculine energy. And what has to happen is that there needs to be a balancing and a joining of the two. The divine feminine is a form of energy that all beings possess. Everything. Like everything that moves and breathes and lives and functions and does something. Yes, even the trees and the grass and the butterflies have divine feminine energy. There's divine masculine. It basically is yin and yang. It's yin and yang. We all have the one and the other, right? It's one half of the spirit of life. It's a symbiotic relationship. You can outwardly express more one than the other, but the dominant presence of one doesn't eliminate the existence of the other. And so I would say that I'm a woman who outwardly presents to be more in tune with my masculine energy. In my style of dress, my choice of hairstyle, my mannerisms, Now keep in mind, this is through a North American Black, lens. But, I'm not very soft. I'm not, and when I say I'm not very soft, here's what I'm saying. I understand that I do not fit within the confines of what is believed and marketed as femininity in North America. And if I want to get even more niche, Black femininity. What media is now starting to push as Black womanhood, as Black feminine softness, whatever. I don't fit into that. I know I don't fit into. I do not fit into that. I don't fit into that. I know I don't fit into that. I have always been aware that I don't fit into that. Right? I like to play around. I like to be physical. But I'm not a tomboy in the sense of like enjoying sports. And, I'm not physical like in that way. Though I am a trained figure skater, and that's a sport that I love. And I like to watch basketball. And I know the NFL is right now, but I do like football. I really like football. And since I'm on the topic about the NFL, anyway, I'm gonna throw this one in here. Right? I'm just gonna slide it in here. I really enjoy the I Am Athlete podcast. So Brandon Marshall, Chad Johnson, Fred Taylor, and Channing Crowder are the main host and cast. And so from an athlete's point of view, the crew tackles important and controversial topics around sports, culture, and society. They don't hold anything back, expressing their emotions and sharing like never heard before experiences on and off the field. It's a weekly unscripted and uncensored. Let me say that again. Uncensored discussion. And I really want more people to tune into their podcast, as well as the one that their wives host, which is the I Am Woman podcast. The I Am Woman podcast. Baby, if you're not listening, you need to be listening to it. It's such beautiful conversations that are being had in these spaces that they've created. And I believe that they are important and more of us need to be listening. Okay, but I'm moving on. And no, that was not an ad. I really love that podcast. I really love that podcast. But before we move on, because I've also just said a lot of things, we're going to take another break. We're going to take a deep breath and we're going to hold it. And we're going to release it. And I want you to stretch your toes, stretch your fingers, all your limbs. Like, just get up real quick. If you can, move around. You know what I'm saying? Stretch it out. Move your shoulders about. Roll your wrists. Roll your ankles around. Just stretch. Roll your neck around. Okay, get some good circulation going. Because it's time to hear a word from our sponsors. Hey, listeners. I don't know about you, but I absolutely love candles. The candles that I keep in my room going all the time are from a Black woman-owned soy wax candle company. And that company is Sheriko. And yes, they are our sponsor. Aren't you excited? We have a sponsor now, baby. We talking luxury. Her candles are just divine. They come in the most beautiful vessels. But Sheriko doesn't only make candles. No, sweetie poo-poo. She makes far more than candles. It's a candle and more company. I like to say it's a luxury home goods company. You know what I'm saying? Think like your Crate and Barrels, but even more elevated and smells way better. So Sheriko makes linen sprays, reed diffusers, candles, body oils, and bath soaks. She's going to be introducing plenty of more products as the year goes on. And I just wanted to make sure that you guys are aware that we have a sponsor. And I'm going to keep saying it because I'm super freaking excited to have a sponsor for the podcast. So today's podcast and today's episode was brought to you by a Black woman-owned soy wax candle and more company based out of the Bay Area, California, Sheriko. The CEO and founder is Danita Cherie, and y'all need to get into it, okay? ShopSheriko.com. That is www.shopSharico.com. That's our sponsor. Get into it. Back to the episode. Yeah, but anyway, I was saying that outwardly I present more masculine in energy, and I don't have to compromise. Like, in order to attract the man that I want, I do not have to compromise in how I am in tune with my energies, my yin and my yang, my divine masculine and my divine feminine. Because the man that I want is a man that wants me, and we want each other. So, like, that man will enjoy how I outwardly present myself, because it's how I feel most comfortable showing up in the world. And that's what matters most in any dynamic, in any relationship. Friendships are relationships. Thank you. What matters most is your comfort. And so I don't know. Do I think hypergamy is bad? No. In theory, no. In practice, no-ish. Because it can absolutely blow up in your face, which is why it's like, maybe don't marry for hypergamy, but I just think that it shouldn't be the center of your journey, especially if you're walking this path of abstinence and celibacy, right? I decentralize men. I think women need to decentralize men a little bit more. And because most of the level up journey videos I viewed on YouTube centralize attracting affluent men and using that as a means of leveling up. I don't know. Maybe there's nothing wrong with that, so long as you're not hurting or harming anybody in the process. But I decided that I don't want to centralize men in my life. So I don't want to centralize their money. I don't want to centralize their social standings. I just don't. Cool, bro. Like cool story, bro. Really, but I don't. Great for you. Like, I'm doing my own shit too, but like great for us. But so I just decided that I don't want to centralize men in my life, and especially not on this journey. But like, I do desire a romantic relationship, marriage, and children, but it is not the center point of my life, right? Like, achieving marriage, having children, entering into a romantic and sexual relationship, a committed, monogamous, sexual, or romantic relationship is not going to be the zenith of my life. It's not going to be the pinnacle, the highest point of my life. These are things I want to do. They're experiences I would like to have. It's what I deeply desire. I mean, I deeply desire being a mother and being married. But I also understand that those things are not what make me a woman, right? Having a husband, having children, none of that makes me a woman. It just makes me a person who got married to a man and had children, but doesn't make me a woman. The absence of those things doesn't make me any less of a woman. I just feel that, these decentralized men, because decentralizing men to me looks like making yourself as a woman the focal point of your life and being open and receptive to what you like, that you attract, but keep it in mind that all you have done, like with investing in yourself, was for you, not to attract a man. And here's the cherry on top, okay? He is not the prize. That man, let's be honest, man, he's not the prize. You're the prize. I love men. I'm just fucking with y'all. But Black women do not deserve to be shamed for requiring more. And that's what I'm trying to say. But this doesn't mean that we must also feel forced to only align with the extremes of hypergamy. At least the extremes that are currently defined by social media and traditional media, movies, television, advertising, blah, 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 and YouTube, I just think what's happening is that we're seeing Black women demand excellence and people want us to feel bad about it. Don't. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of While We Wait, the podcast about abstinence and celibacy. I am your host, Winter. Make sure that you leave us a 5-star review and make sure that you are sharing the podcast with your friends, family, coworkers, just people walking down the street. I mean, whoever. Just let people know that this podcast exists. I'm so glad that you sat down and listened to what I had to share today. This podcast is really truly a labor of love, and I appreciate every single one of you who listens. Make sure you check the show notes to know how you can further support the podcast by donating, sharing, sending in emails about topics you would like to hear and content you would like to see me create on the podcast. I'm just super excited. Here we are once again, another year, 2021, season 2, and we're sponsored by a Black woman soy wax candle company, Sharico. We're doing it! So thank you for listening, and make sure you check out our sponsor for the entire season, Sharico. That's www.shopsharico.com. That is shopsharico.com. It's self-care in a luxe way.